You have tuned in to Society Complex with your host, Von Lee. Let's get into it. Hello, and thank you for choosing Society Complex. This is your host, Von Lee, and thank you so much for listening and supporting this podcast. So, today we're going to talk about obviously the elephant in the room, the big deal, what is going on right now. That is Ukraine versus Russia versus Ukraine, however you want to say that. So first and foremost, before I even begin to say anything, thank you to those of you that are in service, those of you who choose to fight in war, military, Navy, Air Force, whatever it is that you're a part of. Thank you so much for even choosing to do that. Now, there's plenty of ways to fight for your country, but that is, I feel like, the ultimate way of fighting for your country. So thank you so much for your service, and we truly, truly appreciate it. And as we begin this conversation here about Ukraine and Russia, I just want to say that no matter how you feel about it, whether you think, Russia is right for doing what they're doing or not, it's truly a beautifully sad thing to watch. And I say that because it's beautiful because Ukraine and their people are fighting for their country, their independence, and their way of life. And that is a beautiful thing. You can't deny that. I don't care who you are, what you believe in, your political party, whether you're black, white, Hispanic, Asian, it doesn't matter. Whatever whatever you are, you cannot deny that. It is a beautiful thing to watch when people of a country stand up for themselves and not just their military, because you expect you go around, you expect your military to do that, but I'm talking about people that are non-military, the civilians. They are really literally fighting in the streets for their country and their way of life. And like I said, I don't care who you are, that is a beautiful thing to watch. But the sad part of it is there's been so much bloodshed already around this situation. And it's so sad to watch people trying to get out of the country, and then people that feel so strongly about it that they would stay in their country knowing that it is entirely possible that Russia could take Ukraine, the entire Ukraine, not just a small sliver, not just a piece, but the entire thing. It is entirely possible if we're being honest with ourselves. I'm not saying that it will happen. I'm not saying that. Please don't, please don't misconstrue what I'm saying. So I'm not saying that. But it is a possibility. And that's why I said it's a sad thing to watch. And there's many elements to this war that is going on right now, this invasion that is going on right now. Like there's many parts, to it. I was looking on social media to see, what was going on and what people were saying and things. And I don't know if you guys follow hip hop artists or whatever, but Young Thug, he's a hip hop artist. He was talking about how it is hard for Africans that are in Ukraine to get out of Ukraine, and how they were trying to get to Poland, which seems to be where everyone is trying to get to. Well, most people are trying to get to as a way to get out, whether they're leaving from there and coming to the United States, or leaving from there and going somewhere else. Seems to be the point where a lot of people are trying to get to. So there's videos and comments circulating about specifically Africans, people of color, trying to get to the border there and how they are being treated also. So that's a whole nother element within the big element between Ukraine and Russia right now. And so I don't know if you guys watch, but I did. President Joe Biden of the United States, President of the United States Joe Biden, he did his official. This is his official State of the Union address, and I did watch it, and it was, to say the least, whether you believe what he was saying or not, because you're still going to have those people out there that they don't believe anything he's saying, they don't agree or whatever it is. And it was perfectly clear during that State of the Union address that some people agreed with a lot of what he was saying, and some people did not agree with some of the things that he was saying. But I will say it was a beautiful address, one of the best I've seen in a while. But it was great, and I certainly, as a woman, I certainly love to see two women standing behind the president of the United States. And whether you like Nancy Pelosi or Kamala Harris or not, we can certainly say that that is very a huge progress within the United States. And I mean, if you think about, I guess if you think about worldwide, it's a huge progress to see two women sitting behind the leader of a nation. Like I said, and it if you exclude whether you like them or not, whether they're Democrat or Republican or whatever it is, you think or whatever, it's a beautiful thing, and that is progress. So I mean, we cannot sit here and deny that. I know a lot of people don't feel like women should have that, have those positions, but I do feel like these two women, Vice President Kamala Harris and Miss Nancy Pelosi, Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi, they fought for their position that they have now. And that is a great thing. And like I said, as a woman, I certainly love to see that. What is the old saying? Behind every great man is a great woman. So right now it is behind every great man, there are two women. So you can like it or not, but that's the way it is right now. And that is the scenery that we're looking at. But I will say this, as I was watching the State of the Union address, I don't know if a lot of people caught this. Some people might have, but I've been looking at, okay, let's start here. If you know anything about, let's say, celebrities, entertainment, things like that, you know that image is everything, right? So, and when I'm speaking of image right now, I'm specifically talking about the way these women are dressed, what colors they're wearing, and things like that. So I will notice this. For Kamala Harris, they put her in a lot of dark colored clothing all the time. Most of the time, not a lot of jewelry, pearls and things like that, which you would expect a woman of sophistication to wear, things like that. So, but specifically speaking about the State of the Union address, you can go back and you can look at it. You can think about this or not. That's completely up to you. It's a free country. Unlike the people of Ukraine right now, they're not having such a free country. But anyway, we'll get back to that. So, I was watching, and I noticed that Kamala Harris was in a brown suit. It was like a jacket, and I believe it was like a dress sort of thing. But obviously, it's like a two-piece suit because, women have two-piece suits where it can be pants or a dress. Or some women have three-piece suits, whatever. So I'm noticing this, and I noticed that a lot of her fashion now, that she's vice president, they're putting her in a lot of dark colored clothing. Now, so speaking about Kamala Harris, we know that she is a person of color. And like I said, you can like it or not like it, but that is the case. And she's not just black. She's also of Asian descent and, some other things. But she is a person of color. But, okay, so she is how can I say this delicately without someone jumping down my throat, which I'm sure somebody will anyway, so whatever. She's a lighter person of color. So we know what happens when, if you know anything about fashion, color, things like that, when you put on darker clothing, your skin color seems brighter. So I've noticed that what it looks like to me, anyways, is that they're trying to make Kamala Harris seem more pleasing, I guess, so to speak, to our fair brothers and sisters, right? I'm just saying, think about that. Go and watch State of the Union and then go and, see other things. Because it's usually dark colors, brown, black. I did see her in some ivory. But again, ivory and colors like that on a fair skinned person going to make their color seem brighter. Also with the type of makeup that you're using. So I looked at this and I thought to myself, why is that? But we all know the reason why, so we're not going to, we don't have to really get into it, but we all know the reason why. It's because it's more pleasing to not make her look like a person of color. Because I'll tell you this, as a dark-skinned person of color, it is a different thing when you look like a person of color, when you sound, so they say, as a person of color, or you act like a person of color, or so they say around, and things like that. Those are three very different things. And think about that before you get, I'm talking about think about it in a way that's not what you already think or what you already believe. Like actually think about that. Like actually think about it. Those are very different things. Because you have people of color and they'll say, this is within community, especially the black community, where you say, oh my God, you talk white. But I can be just as dark as a black Honda, right? So that's a whole different topic, right? That's a whole different topic. Or they say, when you dress a certain way, you don't look like the demographic that you're supposed to be in or that you are in. Because they think that a demographic is supposed to act and be a certain way, right? So, like I said, this is just something I noticed. Nancy Pelosi, she had on her pearls, she had on her blue. Well, actually, she was wearing I cannot think of the color, like the name of the actual color, but it's a mix between blue and purple. Yeah, I noticed it because the First Lady, she was also wearing the same exact color. She just had on a dress, and Nancy Pelosi had on a jacket, like she usually does most of the time. So I'm just saying, you can look at that and see where that, what you think about that. And please let me know what you think about that. You can find me on social media at Society Complex 1. And you can definitely Google that handle. That way you can see all my social media come up. I'm on TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. I have podcasts all over the place. iHeartRadio, Pandora, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, and obviously I am on Anchor Podcasts. So you can find me on those and plenty of more. You can find me on Deezer also if that's your thing. I'm on plenty of it. So you can definitely find me plenty of places. But the easiest thing to do, like I said, is to Google at symbol Society Complex 1, and then all my social media will come up. All the places that my podcasts are, they will come up. And if you are on Facebook, actually not too long ago, they have a feature now where you can listen to my podcast on Facebook. So if you go to my page on Facebook, you can listen to my podcast there if that's what you choose to do. But like I said, the easiest thing to do is to just Google at Society Complex 1 and let me know what you think about the color scheme of Vice President Kamala Harris. Okay, so back to our topic of conversation right now. So our topic of conversation right now, like I said, we were talking about Ukraine and Russia and Joe Biden's State of the Union address. Excuse me. So, like I said, the State of the Union address was great. I found that some of the moments were very funny. When Joe Biden started talking about the Build Back Better plan, taxes for the rich, and things like that. You definitely saw some people sit down on those things. You definitely heard some boos for him, which is actually, I feel like, is very disrespectful to the President of the United States. And I say that because in the United States, when we pick the president, obviously he is a leader of this nation. So whether you like this person or you don't, whether it's male, female, black, white, Democrat, Republican, any of those things, I feel like it is very disrespectful at a official State of the Union to boo the President of the United States. I feel like what you should have done was, if you didn't like what he was saying, that's fine, because that's your right. That's certainly your right. Just sit down and don't clap. Just sit down and don't clap, but don't boo. I feel like that's completely disrespectful. And the fact that these people feel like they can keep disrespecting the President of the United States is really kind of disgusting, really. And like I said, I really don't care if you're what political party you are, whether you agree, you disagree, or anything like that. I feel like the President of the United States deserves some type of respect, at least a level of respect. And I'm not talking about the level of respect from him to our regular citizens, because that's a whole different scale. But I feel like political leaders, representatives, senators, those are the people that are held to higher standards for those things. Like I said, I can certainly understand that you disagree. You don't like some of the policies. You don't agree. You fought him on pretty much everything, whether it's partially good, partially bad. Republicans have fought him on everything. And even some Democrats also have fought him on some things, which is fair. But this is a whole different thing, because the State of the Union, like all of America is watching that and beyond, So I feel like if we don't respect our own people and our own leaders, how can you expect other people to respect our leaders? Going back to Russia, Mr. Putin, President Putin in Russia. Think about it. Think about that. Think about what I just said. Because Putin has been trying to do what he's doing for a long time, and many other things. He's been trying to poke the bear, so to speak, and see what he can do, see what he can't do. He did it with Donald Trump. He did it with Obama. So we can't say that it's just Joe Biden. He's trying to. No, he did it with President Obama and President Trump also. Okay. And that is a true statement. So but the thing is, like I said, it's about the disrespect. Respect and agreeing with someone are two different things. Those are two different things. Just like in the State of the Union, he talked about transgender laws and things, which we all know what's going on in Texas. And I believe Florida also. They're trying to make teachers and doctors report children that have came out as transgender, which is wrong. It is wrong. That is wrong. And we'll get into that in just a second. But that is wrong. And then we talked about LGBTQI plus rights and things like that. And we heard those boos and things like that when he started talking about those things. And we wonder why that is. There's many reasons. Religion, for some people, or so they claim, religion, so they claim. But we know otherwise. For some of them are, they do, believe certain things, and so the religion plays a hand. But some of them use religion to cover up things, which we already know that, hence slavery, and many other things, Holocaust, So, so we know that those things are used to cover up abuse, religion, right? So, and some of them, they just clearly just don't believe that those things should be happening, that without religion, that's just what they believe. Some of them also don't believe it just because they don't like it, or they don't agree just because they don't like it. But I will say this: laws and policies are not necessarily to be liked and agreed with, because there's a lot of them that I don't like or agree with. But what I do believe in is justice in the United States. I do believe in the letter of the law. I do believe in respect of the law. I do believe in respect for whether we like them or not, the police, cops, whatever you want to call it, or, the leaders of this nation, senators, representatives, congressmen, mayors. I don't care if it's the person that inspects the elevators. You respect their position. But what I will say is this: we talk about things wanting to change, people wanting to change, but the change starts within people before it starts in the law, because people make the laws and policies and mandates and things like that. And I think that between that, when you think about it, it doesn't really matter what you believe in or what you like, right? It doesn't matter what you believe in or what you like. But that's not what the law, the laws and policies are made for. Laws and policies are made for everyone, whether you're black, white, gay, straight, whatever, creed, religion, anything that you are, without, being a criminal, obviously, without being like a murderer or something. That is what it is. So religion has no place in the law or policies. That is something you believe in, which is something you choose. And there's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't matter, Catholic, Christian, Jewish, whatever. That doesn't matter. But the point of this is, I'm saying this to say, you can't make up laws to discriminate against a certain class of people, whether that be for their color, creed, race, gender. And yes, gender is in there, gender or sex, because gender and sex are two different things, just in case you didn't know. Gender and sex are two different things, right? So that is where the problem is coming in with these things that are happening in Texas. Yes, okay, transgender, it's a new thing, It's when I say new, I mean new to the public eye. It's new to the public eye. That's what I'll say. Right? So, and if you think about it, if you exit out your religion, what you believe, what you agree with, what you like, what you're not comfortable with, because that seems to be the norm these days. Those four things seem to be the norm of why people want to make things, laws, and policies about those four things: what you like, what you don't like, what you are comfortable with, which are so-called religions or actual religions for some people, and all those things. That is not the purpose of it. What he's doing there in Texas is wrong. And there is a reason why these children, or even adults, don't feel like they can tell their parents that they are transgender or LGBTQI+. There is a reason for that. And more than likely, the reason is probably actual abuse. Because abuse does not come in where you say, oh, well, they want, my child is transgender, I want to get them surgery. Guess what? Somebody chose to get that surgery, whether it's the parents or the child or both. Obviously, if they were under 18, they have to get their parents' permission. So I feel like if they're doing it, then yes. And you can, obviously, there's some circumstances where they're getting illegal surgeries and things like that. But that is also for a reason. And I would encourage you to, whether your reason for not liking it or you're uncomfortable with change or you're uncomfortable with it or you just don't understand it, I encourage you to get educated about the situation before you go and you speak. Get educated about it. Go and look at the suicide rates of children, of LGBTQI children. Go and look at the suicide rates of children, 7 years old, 6 years old, 5 years old, 10 years old, 12 years old. Go and look at the suicide rates of those children. Go and look at the number of children that are homeless between the ages of 10 and 17. Go and look at it. Go and listen to the stories. Go and speak to them in person if you have to. So you get all sides, because I am a believer that you get all sides of things, whether you agree or disagree. I do it all the time. Because just like, you guys listen to my podcast and, follow me on social media. Do you think that I only listen to certain news channels? No, I don't. I listen to CNN, but then I'll go and watch Fox. I go watch BBC, MSNBC, NBC. I watch everything. Just like even the controversy with Joe Rogan. I listened to Joe Rogan's podcast before, his controversy of the N-word or whatever. But we'll get into that in a later podcast. Don't think I forgot about that, because I didn't forget about that. Because that's a big one I do want to, oh my gosh, I so want to touch. Oh my God, I have to touch the Joe Rogan. I have to. Oh God, I have to do it. But that's what I'll say. Because if you only listen to what you believe in, or what you think you believe in, then you only know one side and you only know one thing. And is that really a way to live and think? And when you go and listen to other things and you start to hear other things other than what you believe in, you have to exit out, I guess, in your mind and in your heart, because that's really where it starts. What's in your heart comes to your brain and out of your mouth. Exit out of what you think, and have an open mind about those things. Like I said, it's not about what you like. It's not about what you don't like. It's not about what you're comfortable with or what you believe in, because that is the point of the United States of America. We believe in different things. We like different things. We dislike different things. We're comfortable with certain things. We're not comfortable with certain things. And I believe when we've gotten so one-sided sometimes, and we have gotten to the point where we think things are the old saying, black or white. There's no black and white in America. There are so many colors in between. Black, white, gray, light gray, dark gray, heather gray, ivory, white, off-white. There's so many things. And that's not speaking about people. That's just speaking about situations. But the point of it is, there's so many other things. And you really think to yourself, are these things actually harming other people? Or is it just that you don't like it? You're uncomfortable with it. You're uncomfortable with change. Or is it just simply just something you've never seen before and you just simply don't understand it? Because sometimes that's it. We just don't understand certain things. I don't know everything, but I want to understand. And understanding is not the same thing as agreeing. You can understand someone but disagree. You can understand someone and not make a law to discriminate against them. And that goes either way. That goes either way. I was listening to this story that my lovely fiance was telling me. And this is a good example of this about the other way around. So she's telling me that this young white lady at her job, she went and got some micro braids with fake hair, false hair, whatever you want to call it, right? So as it stands right now, a lot of people believe that white people shouldn't get those type of hairstyles because that is appropriation, which I don't believe that. And you can tell me what you believe about color appropriation on my social media at Society Complex One. Tell me what you think about it. And please tell me what you think about this story too. Okay, so, and this young lady, she's from New York. Now, New York, if you've ever been to New York, New Jersey, up that way, you know there's a lot of different types of people, color, races, sexes, I mean, there's like a bunch of different type of people there. But up there, it's a little bit different than here it is where I am, which is in North Carolina. It's different. Those things happen. You see white people, what they say, dressed as urban or whatever you want to call it. I don't like all the wordage of things, but you see that, and with the braids and things like that, right? So anyway, fast forward to the story. So this young lady's here in North Carolina, just getting here from New York. So she had someone do her hair, with the false braids. Nice hairstyle. Everybody, complimented her. Nice, 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 nice. You got some people, obviously, that say she's color appropriating, blah, 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 blah. So on and so forth. But this is the kicker of the situation. The person that did her hair, a black person, did her hair. And this person used glue, actual glue. Like glue, you go and, glue your kids' science projects together on a person's hair, a white person's hair. Now, this person has been in business for 15 years. So a person that's been doing hair, cosmetics, beauty products for 15 years, you know better than that. I want somebody to give me one good reason why that would happen. Because in my mind, there is no good reason. You've been doing hair, let's look at the evidence here. You've been doing hair for 15 years. Obviously, here in North Carolina, you have to have a license to do hair. If you're in a shop, which is where she went to a shop, so you have to have a license to do so. They don't teach you that in hair school. Those are two things we know right there. Right? So give me another reason why that would have been done. And I don't want to hear, oh, well, white people's hair is slicker. It's not as strenuous, strong as black hair. I don't want to hear that. But I've seen plenty of white people and other people get braids and micro braids and so on and so forth. And again, if you're not educated on this subject, please go and look it up, research, or talk to someone about it. Don't just think what you think. Go and actually get some evidence. Use a scientific method. Okay, do that. But that is a perfect example, like I said, of what we were just talking about. And that is the other way, from white to black, or white to someone else. Right? I'm just think about that. And that's why I said here in the United States, things can go both ways. And we have to think about that. Just saying. Well, I will leave you with that story and scenario right now. And we're going to take a break. Thank you so much for tuning into Society Complex. This is your host, Vaughn Lee. We'll be right back. And we are back. Thank you so much for staying tuned to Society Complex with your host, Vaughn Lee. So we are talking about Ukraine, Russia, mixed with a lot of other things, as we usually do here on Society Complex with your host, yours truly, Vaughn Lee. So there's plenty of reasons circulating around why Putin even did this. Some people say he wanted to start up the USSR again. Some people say that he was just trying to test the United States of America and NATO. And some people just say he's an asshole. So that's just, the truth of the matter. And many other reasons. They could say it's for the agriculture that's there, wheat, rye, or he's just mad that they broke off and became independent. Like someone said on social media, I think, he's just mad that his ex is doing just fine without him. Like a toxic relationship, right? They get mad that their ex is doing perfectly fine without them. But I think it's going on seven days as far when this podcast was posted. I think it's 7 days this war has been going on. And there's been plenty of things that have happened since then. The United States has slapped plenty of sanctions on Russia. President Biden, he did announce during his State of the Union that the United States also prevented Russia from their airspaces, as many others have done. Sanctions to their banks, their money is basically no good. Their stocks have fallen. Basically, people are not wanting to help them fund what he is doing. There's protests even in Russia that are against what he's doing. Protests in Ukraine, which on both sides they have been arrested in record numbers for protests. In those countries they're not really, especially Russia, not too keen on protesting that much. These were not sanctioned protests, obviously, but it was very brave of them to go out and speak their mind about what their president is doing there in Russia. That is very brave of them to do. So, like I said, there's many reasons. And, it was trying to be diplomatic. Then it turned into not so diplomatic. And things like that. So we're going to see what happens in the next coming days or weeks, hopefully not weeks. But we will see what happens. There's a lot of other people and other organizations that have given Russia kind of a slap on the hand or a slap in the back of the head. Soccer, FIFA, they won't play any of those teams from Russia. They have stood against that. They're banned from those things right now. I said, many other things. And Joe Biden, he touched on a lot of those things during his State of the Union address. So we'll see. And I hope it was worth it, I guess. Hope it was worth it for the innocent people that are involved in this on both sides. And the president there in Ukraine, the U.S. did offer to get him out. He declined, which is crazy, but also another beautiful thing. Whether his boat sinks or swims, he stayed there with his people. And that's what it's about. He did stay there with his people. So, say what you want, but a lot of us wouldn't do so. We would have got out. Just saying, if we're being honest with ourselves, we would have gotten out. And I've heard a lot of people compare what is going on with Ukraine and Russia to the insurrection or, what happened here in the United States on January 6th. And it's just my opinion, but it's not the same thing. It's totally not the same thing. What happened here is the citizens here in the United States are trying to stop something that was perfectly legal. And even if you didn't believe it was legal, the whole thing was going back to disrespect. It was completely disrespectful. I mean, it was wrong. I'm all for standing up for yourself, standing up for what you believe in, especially here at these times. Here, I am, I certainly agree with that because you have the right to do so. But to try to overthrow your own government procedures, there's a word for that. You can think of it. So I don't have to say it, but you can think of that for yourselves. But if you disagree or agree, you can always find me on social media at Society Complex One and let me know what you think about that and everything we have talked about in this podcast today. But so, like I said, I don't think that's remotely the same thing. That's not the same thing at all. I mean, it's two very, I mean, I don't even see how you can think that. These are people fighting someone else for their freedom and independence. And that was people within the same place going to do something they know they shouldn't have done. Like I said, I'm all for protests, stand up if you believe. But as far as to go into a government building like that, that's a no. That's a no. That's a no. And these people are reaping the consequences of their actions. Now, whether it's enough, probably not. But honestly, I'm surprised they even decided to press criminal charges against these people. To be honest, I'm surprised. I know a lot of you are surprised that they even did that. That they even did it. I'm still trying to figure out how they got so far. But that's another story. Still trying to figure out how they even got in there without without action. But that's to be determined. The January 6th committee is still in session, so they're trying to get to the bottom of those things, or maybe they're not. I don't know. Maybe it's just for show. And Democrats could be just doing it for show. I don't know. Sometimes they do those things. Sometimes, that's just what happens. But when that finishes up, we'll see. There's lots of things going on there. Donald Trump, former President Donald Trump, and two of his children have to testify at this January 6th committee. And there's plenty of others that have tried to have to testify at this committee. Some declined, some refused. They did, some got criminal charges, some, subpoenas, et cetera, et cetera. You know how that goes. So we'll see what happens when that finishes up. But I think it's leaning towards things that just were not done by certain people that could have prevented this. Some people cited this thing. Whether you want to believe it or not, it's true. I mean, it's right there on TV, and that's why I say sometimes what you believe is not actually fact. You may say, "Oh well, nobody told them to do it." Let's look at the evidence, videos, recordings, audio. Some senators that let some of those people in, that sure seems like they were in agreement of that, and you can that's out there for you to see. That's out there for you to see. But that's a whole nother podcast. Not today, but when that finishes up, we'll definitely be doing something on that. I've been taking my notes and everything on that, so we will see what happens there. But for right now, we're going to finish up this podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in to Society Complex with your host, Von Lee. I hope everybody is staying safe during this COVID-19 pandemic. The CDC has said that most people that are vaccinated and boosted can do away with their mask indoors. But it's up to you. It is now optional in most states. Here in North Carolina, I know Governor Cooper has dropped most of the mask mandates, but obviously per county, some of them have not. Most kids are back to school, So we're getting back to some sense of normal now, but it is up to you what you want to do. You want to wear your mask or not. I still wear mine most of the time. So, but just be respectful. If someone wants to wear their mask, that's their choice. If you don't want to wear yours at this point, that's your choice. But that's why we live in America, right? It's your choice. So, like I said, we're going to finish this up. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please be safe out there. Love you guys. And I'll see you next time here on Society Complex. Thank you so much for tuning in to Society Complex with your host, Von Lee. We'll see you next time.